Duterte in the Philippines, who's come and only this week actually destroyed quite a number of high-end cars. Yes, because their owners or how they were procured was not in the right way. And we've seen that kind of action. We've seen what happens in countries like China, Southeast Asia, where people are even shot.
The government has to give a direction.
And there's that feeling that fine, everything else we do right now will be of no consequence. We need something radical. Do you think even the Jubilee administration has that capacity to do something radical at this point? Do you think we've lost it in as far as fighting corruption with Jubilee?
Fred, my position on that will be that as a Jubilee government, we already are seeing that the government is, there's a semblance of an effort of trying to fight corruption, trying to do things differently. But it's also very clear that within the same government, there are people who are creating that to be witch hunt or making it a political issue, so that it is very hard for you to fight when you're like a Siamese twins and you're not moving in the same direction. That will always curtail any effort of fighting corruption. And it becomes worse, and I still repeat it, even as Mheshimiwa is denying that, and we expect that, and it happens every day, that Mheshimiwas are very quick to bury their heads in the sand whenever we point at their nakedness. And the beauty about this is that it's there for everyone to see. There's I think it's Ali Hassan Mwinyi, who was just convicted yesterday, although it's not in corruption-related matters. We have a Sirisi MP who was arraigned in court yesterday. It is not the lawyers who decided to arraign. It is because of the charges that the DPP thought he could demonstrate beyond the threshold of beyond reasonable doubt. We have the Speaker of the National Assembly himself, who has pointed fingers at members of parliament and said what they do there when there are these corruption-related inquiries is they go hugging and sometimes kissing. And the reality of that is because money is changing hands to give reports which are dubious. And remember, on such life-threatening things like even the sugar issue, you know, it just tells you that the oversight role of parliament and the fact that parliamentarians are supposed to be the people's representatives and taking care of us to an extent that they oversight even the executive itself is a role that they are not actually doing. Yes. At the moment they do that, it actually reflects negatively in terms of whatever we are doing. Mheshimiwa says these newspapers give a good signal that Jubilee is actually the one instigating this particular fight. Jubilee owns none of these newspapers. They do not own the editors and whatever. Such that this is people who have come out and given this particular information. And you'll notice that every time Jubilee, there's a corruption scandal. It is not Jubilee that propagates it. It is a newspaper or a whistleblower who will bring it out, and then the government reacts. Do
you think, for example, that Jubilee administration under Uhuru Kenyatta has already lost that opportunity to fight corruption? Do you think it has?
In a nutshell, remember, statistics have said that in the first term of the Jubilee government, they actually surpassed the corruption index in the entire 10 years of Kibaki government. And that is something that I remember David Murathe telling us very well, that it is something that has irked the president, and in his second term, he will fight corruption with whatever he has for the basis of his legacy. But again, I'm telling you, the problem with this is it's like a Siamese twins. Yes. They have to walk in the same direction and in tandem.
And we understand the situation within Jubilee, but do you think that with what portends for the party and this administration, that as Kenyans, because our greatest need right now is to have better headlines than this.
Yes.
Yes, to talk about other developmental matters, not theft of public resources. Do you think this administration has lost the opportunity, and probably President Uhuru Kenyatta should give up on this matter and just focus on other things?
To be fair to the Jubilee administration, I will say this, that the government is working in terms of fighting corruption. the DPP is an arm. I would say, even if it's an independent office, would always say he's always deemed as being part of the executive. And you remember last time when the president complained and said that we have to take these people through EACC, through DPP to court. However, what happens is some of the cases fall through along the way. But what we have as a situation right now, that a government can only do so much in terms of dealing with the people who are already corrupt.
Most of the corruption is with regard to the executive. It's not about the judiciary, it's not about the legislature, it is about the executive.
Yes, I know it is about executive. I'm saying in terms of the award of these tenders, they ought to follow the law. But beyond that, in terms of let's say about punishing, in terms of punishment, I remember you talking about the likes of Rodrigo in in China, what happens. That there's only so much that the government can do in terms of punishing those corrupt individuals.
Kamani, let's be fair. Because one man, Rodrigo Duterte, has actually stopped even drug cartels from doing business in his country.
They can.
One man, one
Fred,
president.
Let me finish. And yes. I was heading there. That if there's one thing that this country believes in, it's the rule of law. That you cannot just accuse somebody of corruption and then line them up there and shoot them dead.
Don't you think that has really played against us?
No, it hasn't. I will tell you, the moment, let me tell you, the moment with that shoe, that is when you will feel it and how much it pains. And I'll say this, that it calls for us to put more effort in terms of curbing corruption from the onset. Because, for example, if the DPP arraigns people in court and then some games are played along the way and people are acquitted, let me tell you, do you know where the buck stops?
And that is what is happening.
The buck stops at the judiciary, but the people don't know the judiciary.
Yes.
They know that we have a government, and the government is a Jubilee government. They even think that Maraga is under the Jubilee administration. But the judiciary is so independent that it is so hard for the executive to control it for purposes of gaining convictions or doing or do I say in terms of convicting the individuals who have been arraigned in court for corruption. So in terms of rule of law, I will say that people are correct, even if there are those thieves that open thieves, they are still protected by the law. Okay. So I would not say that we have those harsh mechanisms that we have seen in other countries for purposes of fighting corruption.
Bwana Joramburu, I know you're very keen to reply to Bwana Okach with regard to what he has said about MPs, but I'll give you that opportunity, not now. Right now, I want you to comment on the fact that the magnitude of a problem we are facing needs a radical solution. It cannot be that the same way we've been tackling this problem year in, year out, that we still expect it to give us a result. In fact, the perfect definition of insanity is doing the same thing, the same way, over and over again, expecting different results. Isn't that what we're doing right now? We are saying the rule of law will actually prevail, this route that has failed us over and over for years on end will now magically give us a solution to this. And I go back to the same example I've used, Rodrigo Duterte, that he went beyond even the systems that have been set up in his country to actually fight this. It did not make him popular initially, but eventually earned him accolades.
To be honest to you, I don't think we are in a worse situation than yesteryears. I think we're moving better and better in terms of fighting corruption. And I think, as he has said, the rule of law must prevail. And we must always try to strengthen our institutions. Let us strengthen the DPP. Let us all act like we are working for this country, Kenya. Yes, the executive is the arm of government that has tax collection, it runs the government, it has all the money. Let the judiciary, let the parliament, all we work towards eliminating this vice of corruption. Okay. But let us not look at it like now we are in the deep seas, we are drowning. It is like we have never been there. Well, believe me, we are now on the shallow ends towards corruption. And we are getting out of it now.
And for someone who has had the advantage of actually seeing history play out, and probably you've been there, you've watched things.
I think the president is even stronger than any other president.
You may actually look at these headlines and say, we are much better. But for any other younger Kenyan, who's been affected by corruption, people in NYS right now who are even struggling to eat, because I understand some departments within NYS are not working properly because of that theft yes, of public resources,
Alright.
when they see such headlines, it does not inspire any kind of confidence, really. Because surely, we cannot say that simply because we were at a worse place back then we are doing better right now. Yes?
No, you see, the buck stops at the president, and it is good that he's giving a direct direction on the way we have to go as a country in terms of fighting corruption. Institutions have started working. Quickly, you find people are caught. Nordin Haji gets people quickly and they're taken to court. Maybe what we should come up with, economic crimes that come around should also be given time limits, like the presidential elections.
Yes.
Like if you are caught in an economic crime,
Within 2 weeks it's
within
completed.
30 days,
Yes.
it must be concluded, investigations done and judgment taken, rather than going another 20 years.
Yes.
Again, it goes round robin.
And listening to Mheshimiwa Mburu, he is at a very comfortable place because he has knowledge of yesteryears and says, we are at a much better place, calm down. But for the younger Kenyan, they feel that, no, this is crisis level. Yes, this is definitely crisis level for any other Kenyan looking at these headlines. Don't you think that, because there have been proposals of even an anti-corruption conference, yes, just to actually come put our heads together and decide, okay, how do we handle this thing?
Fred, you know, you don't need to have a dinosaur memory to actually be able to know that we are not at a worse position. I was born during the Moi age. I've lived through the Kibaki era, and I've also seen the Uhuru era. And I can tell you for a fact, and I was a grown-up, especially the Uhuru and the Kibaki era, I was actually working, such that if you look at the corruptions that, the corruption incidences that have been unearthed, we are not at a better position. You can never say that when we are at a verge of a 3 billion corruption tender, which is being crafted today, and you tell us we should go to Mombasa, all of us, and relax, everything is okay. That is a mirage. It can never be said that a country, and that tells you where we are. If you find leaders telling us that with this, relax, bosses, we are okay. This is better. You should take a holiday. Yes. It tells you it's the mega death syndrome. We've given up. We're actually saying this is okay for us.
Yes.
We are saying at least it's not a 4 billion. It's not a 5. You see,
when you're told
it's better than
yes, when you're told that NYS it is this much, no,
billion.
it's not 9 billion.
You catch it up before you lose
is
the
4
money.
billion. So we are better.
Yes.
You see, we have given up.
Bwana Murigi Kamaya, do you
Yes.
think we're at a better position?
I would say this is actually a tip of the iceberg.
Yes.
Let me tell you where. Apart from the national government, corruption is deep-rooted in our county government. You remember some time back, I saw a headline, no, it wasn't a headline, a news item like 2 days ago, that over 30 sitting current and previous governors are being probed over corruption and mega tender-related deals in their counties. So you will realize that at some point, we became so comfortable and we made corruption a way of life.
Yes. Calm down.
Everything is okay. So you can float. Float all the procedures, all the tendering procedures that are, all the procurement procedures that are supposed to be followed. You can grant tenders to your relatives. It is okay. You are the people. You are the people in charge. We do not have a system to fight all that.
After all, we are better than where we were.
Yes. After all, we are better than where we are. But what we are saying is, we need to put that to an end. And you know, and I said, and I've said this repeatedly, that if the president is serious about the Big Four agenda, if there is number one enemy to the Big Four agenda, is graft.
Wow. Bwana Mheshimiwa Mburu, do you still insist we are at a better place? Than
We're in a better place. We have to strengthen institutions. We have to talk before it happens. We are not losing 18 billion. We are catching 3 billion before we lose it. So we must continuously speak about it. We must put institutions into order. We must put our procurement procedures into order. We are heading there.
But we are at a better place
than yesterday. That is true.
That's where I'm
For
stuck.
sure, that is true.
Let's take a break.
Let us not
When we come back,
polarize
yes,
the good fight.
when we come back, we take a look at the different headlines, and this is something we've been discussing over the recent weeks as well. And this is the conduct of members of the Parliament. Yes, there's a headline in the dailies this morning about an attempt by MPs to shield CSs in the sugar scam. And we do have a member of the National Assembly who will be helping us to understand what exactly are these MPs up to. Let's take a break right now.